have to go to the city and work hard to make money for me and my son.
Leave her na hunger the warrior.
Come closer, sit down comfortably. This is not the kind of story you hear and forget. It is the kind that follows you home and taps your shoulder whenever you want to laugh at people. It happened in a village called Umoma on a day that looked ordinary, with a woman nobody respected. They mocked her and she said nothing, just silence. But silence, my people, is not always emptiness. Sometimes silence is a house full of secrets. Now listen well. When the woman first returned to Umoma village, no drum announced her arrival. She came down from a tired bus with a small old bag and legs that looked like they had walked through pain. Her wrapper was torn at the edge. Her blouse had faded until it no longer knew its color. Her slippers made different sounds like they were arguing with each other. People watched her. One woman whispered, "Who be this one again?" Another answered, "Na village problem." Children laughed openly. "Mama, see her cloth." The woman heard everything. She did not lift her head. Her name was Adais, but nobody asked. In the village, poor people don't have names, they only have descriptions. Long before that day, after the death and burial of her husband, Adais had left the village to the city with one small boy tied to her back. That boy was Chucks, her only child, her entire world. In the city, life showed her pepper. She sold goods in sun and rain. Some days she ate once, some days she ate tears. But she always looked at her son and said, "My child, endure. Tomorrow will be better." And a better tomorrow truly came. Slowly, money answered her. Business began to grow. People respected her. Her son grew into a fine young man, gentle, intelligent, always calling her my queen. When the son clocked 20, Adaeze gifted him a brand new Mercedes Benz as his birthday gift. That evening, Chucks drove the car to a party to celebrate with his friends. Then, close to midnight, he hasn't returned back. Adais was worried about to call the police when her phone rang, and she got the news that changed everything. Her beloved son died in an accident after being crushed by a drunk driver, just like that. From that night, Adaize stopped being alive inside. She buried her son and she buried her joy with him. After the burial, the city became too loud. Every young man reminded her of her son. Every laughter stabbed her chest. So she left. She came back to the village, not as the successful woman they remembered, but as a broken mother who wanted to disappear. She rented a small hut near the bush. Rain entered freely, cold entered freely, loneliness entered freely. At night, she talked to her son like he was sitting beside her. Sometimes she cooked his favorite food and remembered he would never eat again. She would sit on the floor and cry quietly so nobody would hear. Yet the villagers treated her badly. At the market, sellers mocked her. "Madam, bring money first. Don't touch my tomato," they would tell her, shouting. Sometimes they cheated her openly. Children threw stones at her hut and ran away laughing. Some women called her a witch. They knew something was wrong with her, but nobody cared because they thought she was poor and could benefit nothing from a poor woman like her. When she greeted people, some ignored her, others laughed. "Greeting no be food, try they chop." One day, she fainted on the road. People gathered. Nobody rushed her to the hospital. One man said, "Leave her, nah hunger." When she opened her eyes, the sun had moved. The crowd had moved. Everybody had moved on, and she was all alone. Yet, Adesi didn't stop helping the villagers. She was helping them quietly as an anonymous. She placed widows on monthly salary. She gave free treatment for children and accidents victim. She made her community school free for every child. The villagers always say, God has remembered us. Oh, I sure say this anonymous na government, some said, but they didn't know their God, and government was wearing torn wrapper. Adeze helped because helping distracted her from pain. When she gave, she felt close to her son. There was the village big mouth called Obina. Obina was the loudest man in the village. Small money touched him and he lost balance. Everyone, most especially Ades, were like rags to him. Every evening he sat in the village square forming king. If you're poor, na your fault. Hard work no dey kill person, he would always say proudly. He built a fine house on land he didn't ask too many questions about. Na government land, he said. Who go challenge me? The first day he noticed Adaya's clothes. He laughed until his eyes were red. Madam, your cloth they cry for mercy. People laughed. He pointed at her slippers. See footwear of suffering. Adayaz stopped. She looked at him. My son used to laugh like you, she said softly. Obina waved his hand. Madam, Abeg carry your sorrow go one side. God forbid me and your son no fit get anything in common. That night, Adezi cried. One day during a village meeting, Obina crossed the line. This village don't spoil, he shouted. Anybody can walk in and join our meeting. People laughed. If we are not careful, mad people will join council. Everyone laughed again. Adaezi sat there quietly, knowing fully well Obina was referring to her. But Obina just keeps reminding her of her son. His voice and laughter sounds exactly like Chuck's. Inside her mind, her son's face appeared. She bit her lips in pain. On a fateful day, during the meeting, land matters came up. The village head frowned. Some documents are missing, he said to Obina. Obina, this land doesn't belong to you. You have to provide the complete documents, or we will be forced to demolish your house and the community will claim the land. The once proud Obina became humbled like a child whose favorite toy was about to be taken. Obina began to beg. His voice became soft and low, but still he couldn't prove that the land belongs to him. Adais, who sat quietly watching the whole scene, felt pity for Obina. She could not longer bear to watch. She stood up. People sighed. Here she goes again. She walked slowly to the front and brought out old papers from her bag and handed it over to the village head. He looked at the documents in disbelief, then looked again. His face changed with an expression that confused the villagers. He finally said, People of Umoma, he said quietly, this land Obina built on belongs to Madame Adaize Oko. Silence, heavy silence. People gasped. Madame Oko, is she know the anonymous? Someone asked. The village treasurer, an old man who knew about Ada Eze and how she has been helping their community, stood up and said, Yes, this woman here has been our helper, our government, and our savior. But how have we been treating her? At this point, tears ran down Adaze's face. I lost my only son, Chucks, she explained. I couldn't continue staying in the city because everything reminded me of him. So I decided to come back home. I came back sad, depressed, and as my shadow. I hid myself because life was hard. Helping people kept me alive. She turned to Obina, and you mocked me on my own land. Obina fell to his knees. Shame finished him. He begged and cried for forgiveness. The villager too cried, not because of the land, but because of guilt. They had been so unfair to her. Women began to hug her. Men bowed. The village head apologized publicly. Obina begged. Adaezi forgave him. She said, I have plenty landed properties and buildings scattered in different states. Money is not my problem. If only money could save my son's life, he would be alive today. This land is not a big deal to me, she said, handing the documents to him as the new owner, not because he deserved it, but because bitterness was too heavy to carry. Obina thanked her happily. Months later, she rebuilt the small hut she was staying in, a simple, comfortable house. She opened a small foundation and an orphanage home in her son's name. She became a mother to many children. She began to smile again, small but real. She still dressed simply. Nobody laughed anymore. Because Umoma finally learned, don't mock the poor, don't judge silence, and don't play with pain you don't understand. Because sometimes the people you treat like nothing may be the ones holding everything together.
Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to leave a comment on how we can serve you better.